Hello everyone. Fingers crossed this is all working and all running as it should be. Yeah, it looks like we're live. So, hey, right, I need to just turn off the sound that I've got in here. That's going to help a lot. So, how is everyone this evening? It is 10:30 p.m. here in the UK. Hope you're all having a good evening. Apple has just released their earnings call numbers. They're looking pretty good because it's Apple. So, as expected, we have got some pretty impressive numbers as usual. Let me just jump back into the right scene here. Here we go. James Apple birthday shout out for today. Will I give you one? Depends. Is it your birthday? I'm going to assume it is, so let's do it. Happy birthday to James Apple. Little Mountain Life, hey, how you doing? Slow Cuba, hello. Mark Sequence, how you doing? Evan Rogers, how you doing? It's all of the guys that we get the questions from in the regular shows, the iCave Answers. How is everyone? I hope everyone's been having a great day. And let's have a look at some numbers, shall we? Because this is all the cool stuff. This is the unaudited statements from Apple. Obviously, none of this is. Oh, volume's a bit too low, is it? Right, let's fix that for you guys. We can turn that up a little bit. How is that? That a little bit better? Let me know how the sound is going. So we've got 15 people watching right now. Deleted user, how's it going? Is that sounding better for you? Cool. Fingers crossed that thanks is about the audio. But yeah. Let's see what's going on. So, Apple's dropped a little bit in after hours, is that right? Let's have a look. Let's pull up the stocks app. So yeah, minus 358 after hours, minus 222 at close. But this is always what happens, even when Apple does really, really well. Even when they have a really good time, they get really good numbers through. They always then just drop a little bit of money on the stock price. So I don't think anyone there is going to really care that much because obviously they're making all the money in the world. So just to run this down really quickly, we've got products brought in 63.9 billion, services brought in 17.5 billion, give or take. So that's a total net sales of 81.4 billion. Pretty nice numbers. How is that? Cool. Sounds better for everyone. That's good. Can confirm James is in fact saying it's his birthday. Cool. Cool. Happy birthday, James. Happy birthday. Yeah, so pretty impressive. The bit that really impressed me, I think, is when we go down here a little bit further down on the numbers. We've got the iPhone sales by category. iPhone did $39.5 billion in the June quarter, remember? So this is pretty crazy. We've just been listening to the conference call. There's actually not very much that goes on. Everyone always starts asking exactly the same questions at this point, which is trying to get a little bit of kind of guidance on the numbers that they've already given. And Tim basically goes, yeah, we can't give you any more guidance on that because this is the amount of guidance we can give you. And the big reason for all of this stuff is that they don't want to kind of say, yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen in the next quarter, because it might not. And that's the whole point of all of this stuff, which is why it's kind of a bit pointless. But it is interesting to see how they've been doing. So that 39.570 billion that they've made on iPhones is 50% up on this time last year. That is insane. It is the June quarter, and I think that gives us the best indication so far of why Apple has ordered 100 million A15 chips already for the iPhone 13/12s. Let me know down in the chat whether you think it's going to be a 13 or a 12s, because I'm always interested to see what people think is going to be going on there. Evan says 64 billion in hardware sales and Apple saved 3 billion on chips per reports. Yeah, so cost savings, they kept mentioning cost savings, and it sounds like a lot of that is what they didn't send to Intel. They did say that there will be more supply constrained in the next quarter. Yeah, I've got a feeling though that a lot of this stuff because Apple is not constrained on their own chips on the Apple Silicon stuff. They've got as many of those as they want. The stuff they get constrained on is stuff that goes into like power supplies and sometimes the display tech and things like that. So I would guess that's what's going on there. So Joe thinks 13, Evan Rogers thinks 12S. So I think we might end up with a 13. Deleted user says iPhone 13 is unlucky. Yeah, I know, but they did do an A13 and they've just started talking about putting A13s in more stuff. So I don't think Apple actually cares about that. And I think that was the problem before. But what are the unlucky numbers in China? Because I think that would probably be more of a thing that's of interest to people. James Apple says iPhone 13. Slow Cuba says I want it to be the iPhone 21. So going to the year number, I guess. And I can see a kind of argument for that. But I think they would call it the iPhone 2022 if they were going to do that. Deleted user, where are you from? Just out of interest, because I'd really be interested. 13 used to be the jersey number on my paintball shirt, specifically because it annoyed people. Michael Moy, maybe manufacturing too. Have you seen the videos of floods in China? Yeah, but that's not going to be something I wouldn't have thought that they will have factored in already in terms of supply constraints. We've not got that many people on the stream today. It's like 31, but that's fine because the people we have got here are the important ones who are chatting, and that's what matters. 13 is your lucky number, Slow Cuba. Cool. Brian Data says 14. You think they're going to leap it over it? So 4 is also an unlucky number in China and Japan, but we've already had an iPhone 4. Yeah, that was my point, is that they don't seem to be that bothered about it. And China, I guess China wasn't a huge market for them at the time. Deleted user, you're from England. Oh, okay, cool. Same here. As you probably could have guessed from me talking. Evan Rogers, Foxconn has already said the flooding is not affecting iPhone manufacturing. So that's cool. Little Mountain Life, thumbs up. Yeah, good point, everyone. If you can smash that like button. There's 30 of you here. There's 13 likes. So that's a poor ratio right now. Not loving the ratio, guys. But yeah, I don't think that supply constraints certainly won't be hitting the iPhones. We know that much. Wait, you're English? Yes, I am. You can tell from all the tea. Slow Cuba on Friday the 13th of April 2029. The asteroid Astrophilus will miss the Earth by 99,000 kilometers. Sounds lucky to me. Yeah. I mean, there's stuff missing us all the time by different amounts of distances. But interesting that you are into your astronomy. Good. It's a good thing to be into. What about 9? I don't. Why did we skip 9? Purely because they wanted to go iPhone 10 for the 10th anniversary. iPhone 8 was the one that needed to come up, and yeah, I guess that was kind of it. Just like Windows 9 didn't happen, neither did iPhone 9. Little Mountain Life, have you watched Ted Lasso? No, I haven't watched Ted Lasso. Lasso? It's called Lasso here. But I believe his name is Lasso. No, I haven't watched it, but I'm also not interested in football either. Chad, I gave answers with 2 flying sheep, 1 yellow, 1 the other heading right. How much does the kilogram of tar cost given that the cow is 10 years old? It's £14. Evan Rogers, Slow Cuba, it could hit Earth 7 years later on Good Friday. Oh, well that's a positive one. At least we've got a bit of a heads up. We can probably sort things out by then. What is this year is iPhone 18. Okay. iPhone SE2 is iPhone 9, Joe says. Yeah, but it's not though, is it? Because it's called the SE2. Well, it's just called the SE, actually. The SE 2020. James Apple. We've already had an 13-inch MacBook Pro, iOS 13, A13 chip. So, where are your conspiracies when the company has a record of using 13? Yeah, I mean, maybe they just measure the laptop screens in centimeters, and then they just tell you in inches to throw you off. A lot of individual business segments would probably make the S&P 500. They range from 7.37 billion to 39.57. Yeah, Michael, I think they actually mentioned that there was two of the categories together. I think it was Mac and iPad. If they put those together, they'd actually make the top 50. Love Ted Lasso. You'll like him. He has your opinion of tea. What, he's into coffee? Hopefully, because coffee is just superior to tea in every single way. Little Mountain Life. I hate soccer with a passion, but the show is incredible. So good. Love the majority British cast. So the one that I really like that's British on Apple TV Plus is Trying. That's just brilliant because it's got Esther, whatever her name is, who is from Cuckoo, which had Andy Samberg in the first season. And then they got rid of him for one of the guys from Twilight, I think. Can't remember his name. Aidan Gilani. Sorry if I've completely butchered your name then. Aidan Gilani. M1X MacBook Pro in September, while iPhone, Apple Watch, iPad goes to August. No, iPhones will be September. They always are. I think the M1X MacBook Pros will be October. Chad, what is your favourite Apple product and why? Favourite Apple product and why? Right now, it's probably... the one that I spend the most time with would be my Mac Mini, and I think it's awesome. My favourite Apple product ever is my G4 Cube, which I think is just the coolest looking Apple product ever. I think that's epic. Favourite one ever? I mean, right now it's going to be my iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is... I would show it to you, but you're looking through it at me. So, I can't. Slow Cuba, yes, he calls tea dirty water. Well, it is. It's horrendous. Just back to Chad's question. Everyone else post up in the chat, what is your favourite Apple product ever and why? One sentence, don't make it too long. I love YouTube, says iCave Dave. Why are you English? I have no idea. It's one of those disabilities that I have to live with. Ian Gilani said I meant October. Sorry. So yeah, I think we're gonna get the iPhones September, MacBook Pros October. Yep, that makes sense to me. Ted Lasso was nominated for 20 Emmys. I'm not on the board for nominations because if I was, it would have missed out because I didn't watch it. James Apple, I see Johnny Ive's book in the background. It's not Johnny Ive's book. It's a book about Johnny Ive, and it's by Leander Cady, who's the guy that runs Cult of Mac, who's actually a really good author. His Tim Cook book is very, very good. It's not a Tim Cook cookbook. He doesn't tell you how to cook in it. I managed to install iOS 14 on my iPhone 4. That is some impressive work. You should definitely make a video on that, because I think a lot of people would watch it. I would certainly watch it if it's real. Frank Petrie, haha. Is there... oh, that's about me not being on the board of the Emmys. That's fair enough. Evan Rogers, iPhone 3G, first modern iPhone. Is that the one that you had? Cool. Yeah, my first iPhone was the iPhone 4, which I was really pleased with because that was the one that got... well, it was my first iPhone, my first Apple device of any sort. And it was also the first one that had the FaceTime camera built in, I think. And also like a retina display. It was the first one. Joe, Cooking Plus with Tim Cook. Yeah, that would be a great show. Frank Petrie, how are you still awake? Well, it's only like 10:45 here. It's not like super mega late, and normally I shoot the shows at around about sort of 12:30, 1 a.m. We are friends. Apple is their flop era. What? I'm confused by what you're asking me here. Ian Jelani, do you think the M1X MacBook Pro would maintain the same price as the current Intel 4 port? They're adding so many features, but would they keep the same price? I hope so. So I think the MacBook Pro, the 14-inch, which is probably going to have that 16-core GPU, that is most likely to be coming in at around about $17.99. And then the 16-inch, the big one, that's probably going to be coming... going to be coming $23.99. The only thing they might add it on like $100 is if they're doing the same thing as they did with the iPad Pro, and they're adding $100 for getting the new mini LED display. That's the only reason I think it might go up. but then the Mac Mini came down in price, so I think it might balance itself out. I think we might be okay. We are friends. Apple is in their flop era. Yeah, they're not flopping at all. You're funny. You can stop saying that, or I can boot you. It's up to you. Evan Rogers, what do you think Apple's gaming strategy on the Mac is? Okay, this is an interesting one, because really gaming strategy for Mac comes down to other game developers putting their stuff in there. And it's really okay. You're boring me now. See you later. Bye. So yeah, Apple's Mac gaming strategy. I think it's all about getting that power in there first, and I think we've already kind of made it quite clear that Apple is going to be focusing on gaming, and some of their execs have mentioned this just recently, which they were saying that, you know, the power is going to be there, and I think it is going to come down to some of the stuff that is going on with Steam and Vulkan, all the stuff that's going on that side of things. They are making everything as cross-platform as possible, which makes sense with the Steam Deck. Steam Deck? I think that's what it's called. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the Steam Deck is coming out around about December time, and they think, because that's based on Linux, that they should have everything in place that kind of converts even DirectX stuff, so that it can play. And I think that's what's going to kind of really help the Mac a lot in terms of the gaming. As long as that Vulkan stuff and Proton can all work with the Mac and with Apple Silicon, that would be epic. Little Mountain Joyce, and there was much rejoicing, yes, because we booted the troll. Brian Data, do you think we will see the Mac Mini in October? I really hope so, Brian, because that's the one thing that I would really quite like to pick up still. I would like to basically keep the Mac Mini that we are streaming on right now. That would become the Mac that I use for beta software and for doing like weird tests, and obviously if we need to compare with one and the other, and then use the M1 X Mac Mini as my daily driver, because it would be super exciting. And then once we move on to the next Mac Mini, the M2 maybe, then I would sell this one and get that. So kind of keep staggering them, and maybe try and keep a bit as up to date as I can with all the YouTube monies, which there's not a lot of YouTube monies at the moment, where there is also no what's it called, news. There's no news, which has been really hard. Right, let's have a quick look at these others. My first MacBook Pro was $2,700, 2008 MacBook Pro 17-inch. Price has dropped, but we're kind of back up there now. Yeah, I think the 16-inch is pretty close to the 17-inch. It's more productive because you've got more screen real estate. Even though it's smaller, you've got more pixels to play with, so I think it kind of makes sense. Grey or grey, Apple is in one of the best positions ever. Yeah, 100%. Apple, well, no company has ever been as successful as Apple is right now, so I feel like they're probably okay. I don't feel like they're about to go out of business. Right, Ayan Jalani, you should have a rumours website. I know someone that could help you with that. We have got a website, iCaveDave.com. It exists. It's already there. It's just that I haven't written anything on it since the April event. So I am focusing on trying to get some more stuff put into there. That's what we are going to be trying to do. I'm not sure what the site needs to be just yet. I definitely want to focus on it a little bit more. I want to have that kind of home base, but at the moment it kind of just redirects people to my social medias. If you go to iCaveDave.com/Twitter, it'll take you to my Twitter. If you go to /YouTube, it takes you to the channel, blah blah blah. So that's kind of what the website does at the minute, even though there's a bunch of articles up there. Slow Cuba. My first MacBook Pro cost me over $4,000 back in 2012, and I'm still using it, so I consider it a good investment. Well, this is the point. Apple laptops are generally a little bit more expensive than most, except now, in terms of the performance, but the last, how long they last is just incredible, and I really think that they are an investment that you get to keep for a good long while. Peter Holdman, have you heard anything about a release date for the Swift Playgrounds that covers full app development? So this is, I'm assuming this is the one that they announced at WWDC. I would guess it will come out with the full version of iPadOS in September time. So it's not going to be like a full-on app development platform, but you will be able to code fairly simple apps in it, not just one-screen apps, which is what was the case before, I believe. But yeah, I think that's going to be in September, September, October, which should be around the time that we get the new versions of the Pro apps as well, assuming my theory is correct. Peter Holtman, have you heard anything? That's the one I've just read. Sorry. Chad, was that a gaming and epic comment? A little pun. I don't know what I said. I probably did make a pun because that's the sort of thing that I do all the time, but I don't remember doing one. Let me know what I said. Slowcube, Peter, it looked like the IDE would be rather limited, so you'd be better off developing with Xcode on the Mac. Yeah. So the Swift Playgrounds thing, it is going to be kind of like a fun way for people to get involved with doing a bit of that. But I don't think it's going to be something that people are going to use as a replacement for Xcode anytime soon. Evan Rogers, are you buying the iPhone 13? Not planning on it at the moment because I tend to do a 2-year upgrade cycle, but it depends. Depends if there's something super compelling. I have a feeling that the main thing that I will want it for is portrait mode video on the main cameras, but I also think they might bring that to the iPhone Pros from the 12 series, anything with a LiDAR sensor. Because this is something, if you were watching me back in sort of early September time, this is something that I was predicting that the LiDAR sensor would be for in the first place, was for doing that portrait mode video, because you get a full depth map and then you can process it in post. So that is something that I think is going to be an absolute killer feature if that's what comes to it. And if they do decide to do that on only the iPhone 13 and not on the 12s, which I think it will be on the 12s and the 12 Pros, then that would be something that would make me upgrade probably. What are your thoughts on the next iMac, Frank Petrie? So I think the iMac is the most important product for Apple, not in terms of sales, obviously that's all about the iPhone, but the iMac is just, it's the icon of Apple. Even though more people buy notebooks these days than desktops, I think the iMac is just one of those things that Apple needs to have their flagship there, and I'm surprised that they still haven't updated the bigger iMac. I think it is more because that they've struggled with getting stuff through during the pandemic, and with everyone working remotely has made it more difficult. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them being back in the office, but I also completely understand why they don't want to be, because A, it's nice to work in your pajamas, and B, you are safer if you're at home. Peter Holdman, slow Cuba, I am, but the iPad is an interesting development and could be useful for working on bits of apps, which I already do. Cool. Okay, so you're both having a chat about coding. That's beyond me, so I'll let the intelligent people carry on in the chat over there. Yeah, if you've got any more questions, post them up down in the comments section. There's not a huge amount of super exciting stuff to come out of these numbers, other than it is just another epic quarter for Apple. I don't think there's any issues here that would worry anyone. Although the after hours trading has dropped a little bit, but that happens every time because you buy on the rumors and sell on the on the actual solid numbers. I guess that's what a lot of people say. So. Yeah, so R&D, this always stuns me how little Apple spends on R&D. Even though it is 5.7 billion, I would say for a company that's making in that quarter 81 billion, that's probably a bit low. I would think they could do a bit more of that. Just get a bigger team in, but then, that being said, the bigger your team gets, the more bloated it gets, the slower things get sometimes, and yeah, new products are exciting, but I guess we have to wait. So Chad says, do you think that Apple Glass will be the next big thing? I do. I think it's going to I think it's going to go more along the lines of how Apple Watch did when it first launched. So everyone was like, oh, that's interesting. And I think that the first versions of it, the first iterations, won't have uh, a clear vision for what it's going to be. Again, the same as with the watch. The watch kind of, in the first iteration, wanted to do a bit of everything. And now they've kind of settled into it being a health and fitness accessory, which makes a lot of sense because this thing can kind of track pretty much everything that your body's up to, which is pretty good. So I think that the first generation of it is going to be a little bit tricky. It's not going to be super. It's not going to be super focused on what it's going to end up being, but I think it is going to be a huge deal when it comes. Right, Michael Moy. I think that they guided down for Q3. I don't know that it matters. They sandbag earnings. Yeah, I mean they've guided down for it a little bit. They've hedged their bets kind of every quarter. Just recently saying about they're going to have issues with supply constraints, and they have had that with the M1 with the M1 iPad Pros. But that's purely because of the displays, from the looks of things. And it looks like the displays is also what has delayed the M1X MacBook Pros as well. So I think that's the big reason that those have been delayed. And I think once those are in production properly, I don't think we're going to have any more big issues. Apple profits low because no M1X at dub. Yeah, I mean, I do think that they were intending to do it there, especially with those tags being in the YouTube video, but it didn't. So we have to hold on for whenever they do arrive. But they are coming. They can't be far away now. Frank Petrie, I think that Apple uses other brand owners' reactions to their products as R&D. Yeah, I guess so. But still, R&D doesn't just cover like what will people want. It's more about the technologies. I feel like Apple needs to like buy some stuff. Definitely think they need a game studio. I think that would be great for them to have a first party game studio. But yeah. Right, let's have a quick look down here. What will Apple release first? Apple Glass or their AR VR professional headset? This is one of the things where I think there's a huge amount of like crossed wires in the reporting on this. I think people talk about AR and VR interchangeably, and I don't know that there's actually two products. I think there's some stuff that they've been testing that probably looks like a VR helmet, which is actually preparing stuff for Apple Glass when it comes out. I think the fact that they're calling it an AR headset is actually like, this is what they're testing the stuff on for Apple Glass before they've actually got the physical hardware. That's my thoughts. I don't think it's a product that they actually want to release as a full-on like dual 8K display headset. I think that's just, it doesn't seem very Apple. But I'm sure when they do it, it's going to be epic. Are there any Apple products you regret buying? I was trying to convince myself the other day that I need the new MagSafe battery pack, and then I was like, I really don't, because when I'm in the car, I use MagSafe mount, so my phone's always fully charged when I'm out and about, and if I'm at home, I've got chargers. So that would have been one that I would have regretted, but I haven't bought it. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything that I regretted buying. But all the iPhones have been great. Apple Watch has always been great. No, I really can't think of too much. Maybe the Magic Mouse 2. That isn't great. Cerambytes, welcome. AR VR headset, you think first. That's fair enough. Yeah, I'm still not convinced it's going to be its own thing. Also, guys, don't forget we have got the big live stream coming up that's going to be on the 15th. If anyone hasn't set a reminder yet, I would say you should do that. Let's have a look down here. What will be in the November event? James Apple. don't even know if there will be a November event. If there is, I think it will be some interesting stuff that's like not what we've been expecting. So I feel like we're going to get our September event will be iPhone, Apple Watch, iPad, maybe iPad Air, maybe iPad Mini, depending on which one they do, maybe both. Then I think October will be the Mac focused event. That's when we'll get the M1X MacBook Pros and the Mac Mini, probably not the iMac from the sounds of things, which is devastatingly disappointing. Unless they do a 24-inch with M1X, which I wouldn't put past them. I feel like that's something that could happen. I think there is probably enough cooling capacity in the one with the dual fans. So I think that's a decent possibility too. But I'm not sure. November event, if they're going to do it, it's going to be something mental. Maybe it could be Apple Glass or AR/VR. Maybe it could be, I don't know, maybe it could actually be a gaming focused event. We just don't know at this point. Right, let's see, what else have we got? I want a Black Mirror Apple Mini Buds. Apple Mind Buds. Oh, Black Mirror, like the TV show? Okay. I don't think I've seen that one. My Mr. Sexy. IKF Dave, do you think that Apple will tease the Apple Glass or release the rumoured iPod for the 10 years of Steve Jobs dying and the 20 years of iPods? I don't think that Apple is going to do anything marketing related for the anniversary of Steve's death. I don't think that's... Apple seems to have more class than that, than using a death anniversary as a product release opportunity. So I think, if anything, we will have a nice memorial thing on apple.com. I think we might well have a YouTube video that kind of memorializes some of his greatest moments. But I don't see Apple doing an event or a product related to Steve's death. I think that would be in poor taste. Kyle Dodds tried to do the same, also tried to convince myself that I needed AirPod Maxes. Yeah, AirPods Max was one of those products that I was like, oh, that's really cool. I don't want it. That was basically my response. I would love to try them out, and if we were in a different time, I would go to the Apple Store, I would put them on, I would play around with them. Right now, I don't feel like that's the priority, but at some point I will definitely get my head in some AirPods Max. Michael Moore, do you think there will be an adapter for MagSafe 3 to MagSafe 1 or 2 charging bricks? Nope, I think it's going to be its own thing. I don't think those older ones probably... I don't think there's any need for it. I don't think it's going to make anyone that much happier. There's probably a handful of those around, but remember, they haven't been active since 2015 in terms of new releases, so I think we're safe there. Everyone's getting excited that Saran Bites is in the chat. Guys, focus on me. This is my event. Saran's cool, but my stream. Focus. Saran, you're more popular than me on my own stream. That's not fair. Rico the MLG Pro asks, I peeked into how crossover works on Mac, looked at pricing and how it works, and the best version is $500 and the reasonably priced version of crossover is $60, but you only get 1 year of updates. Yeah, that seems like a lot, doesn't it? I feel like we just need Proton and Vulkan to start working so that we can play our games that way. I think that will be much better. Slow Cuba, yeah, you're agreeing with me on the Steve Jobs thing. That's cool. My Mr. Sexy, who will be on the IKversary? Right, let me grab up the list. So right now we have, it looks like Max Balzer, who was one of the guys that found some awesome stuff in the code. We've got Sanchit Garg. We've got Apple Tomorrow, who does our renders. We have Saran, who's right here in the chat. We have Yuritech. We have Jericho, the leaker from Appleosophy, and we have Luke Miani right now. Those are the kind of confirmed ones. There's a couple of other guys that I haven't got written down just here yet because I need to go through and make my lists properly. But yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. It's a pretty good lineup. We are going to hopefully get even more. I want to get everyone to come on for like 10-15 minutes. I don't want to kind of take everyone's time. This is a kind of anniversary stream because it's going to be August the 15th. It is Independence Day, the Independence Day of India, but it's also the day that we did our first pilot show of the Apple Daily format that we've been doing now 5 days a week at least for the past, good God knows how long. Well, it'll be a year. I think that's how anniversaries work. So yeah, like even over Christmas we did it every day. I think we've missed maybe 3 shows in total. So that was once when I was in the hospital with my eldest son. When I was in the hospital with my youngest son, he just joined in and we did a show together. And then also when I thought I was dying. When I was like literally sleeping in my office because we thought I might have COVID, but I had tonsillitis. That was unfortunate and unpleasant. But yeah, we've tried to be super consistent as much as possible. Is that an iMac in the background, Evan Rogers? That is 2 iMacs in the background actually. So there's that one, which is the iMac. That's my 2013, which is the one that the whole show was done on before the M1s arrived. And up there, ooh, can we get up there? Yeah, we can. That's a G. I think it's a G5. I can't actually remember now if it's a G5 or if it's an early Intel. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, I've just found as well Big Sur Patcher. I think it's just called Big Patcher or something like that. And yeah, apparently I should be able to get Big Sur onto that thing because it's a 2013 and it should work pretty well. Right, let's have a quick look through the other messages that we've had since then. So we've done who will be on. Rico the MLG Pro. I also want to play 5M on M1X, but looking at how crossover is set up and works, it might not work. May as well get an Intel Mac. Yeah, I mean, you can pick up a cheapish Intel Mac for not a lot of money, especially if you go for a Mac Mini. Should do the job for you. Frank Petrie, how long before a portless iPhone? Probably next year. They're going to titanium, it looks like, next year as well for the Pros, which will be really cool. But yeah, I think that is probably when we're going to see the portless model come in. And I don't think they're going to do just one model portless. I think they're going to do them all. When they do it, they'll do all of them. And then maybe people will shut up about putting USB-C on the things. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to hate me. Viewers drops down to 0. Oh my god, Max Balzar. Yeah, I'm glad you're excited for that. That's cool. Too friendly. I want a 32-inch iMac that can lean back like a drawing board and has Apple Pencil support. Dude, that was my idea. Okay, I was the one that started using videos of the Microsoft Surface Pro or whatever it's called, Surface Desk. I don't know what it's called. Surface Studio. That was what they called it. Yeah, that's what I've said they should be doing with it as well. I don't want touch support. I want Apple Pencil support, and that's all. That would be pretty awesome. Right. Yep. People like Max Balzar. That's cool. Do I recommend Johnny's book? Yeah, it's fine. I haven't read it yet, which is annoying because I'm terrible at reading books. The Tim Cook one that Leander did, they did actually do an audiobook version of it, which would make it much easier for me, and that's what I did with that one. But this one doesn't have one, so I'm going to have to actually sit down and read it. But it's going to be a good read, I think. Half Man, Half Tech. I remember living on iPad before iCave. Dude, do you want to come on the live stream as well when we do the August 15th one? It would be cool to have you. Let me know if you do. Hit me up in Twitter on the DMs. Would love to have you on the show. Michael Moy crossover is $39.95 to $59.95 for personal use and $4,500 to $9,000 for commercial use. I assume commercial versions are if you want to distribute your own ported program. That makes sense. That's a lot of money though. But I guess it's not if you're selling the software with it built in, because it like creates like a wrap around it. It's like wine, right? I think. Stephen Huxtable, good evening, Dave. Good evening indeed. It is the evening. Carl Dodds, yeah, cool. Yeah, I've not read it. Sorry. I know it's funny. I just thought I'd put it on display so that you guys thought I was intellectual. for today. I also managed to break my headphones immediately before this live stream, which is what I was going to do. James Apple, we need Viper on the live stream for the anniversary. We're not doing it on Clubhouse. We're doing it on YouTube. Does he do YouTube still? Has he still got a face? I thought he was just on Clubhouse now. Too friendly. Any recommendations for a Thunderbolt hub for the M1 iPad Pro? Oh, I haven't played with it, to be completely honest. So, for the M1 iPad Pro, to be honest, any of them will do just fine. There's very little difference between them. Go for a reputable maker, and that would be good. But yeah, I don't think it's going to make too much difference. It's just what ports you need. Stephen Huxtable, what's the hot take on the earnings then? So they did, I believe, let's grab up the numbers again, 81.4 billion in revenue. iPhone sales were up 50% year on year. Pretty insane. And they made like 43% gross margin, which is, again, just mind-boggling. Every product category up like 12% or more. Pretty impressive. That's a lot of stuff going on there. So yeah, pretty awesome. James, if we need Viper on it, you're telling me that he is the captain of Team Apple. You're the lieutenant. Is that right? I seem to remember you putting that on Twitter. Do you want to introduce me? You can sort that out. You can hook me up. Cool. Half man, half tech. You'll DM me on Twitter. Good call, sir. Get on that. Rico the MLG Pro. Whenever I eventually get my M1X Mac, I will try and figure out, but we will see. Oh, that's the crossover stuff, right? Cool. So yeah, there's not a huge amount to talk about from the call. There was not a great deal other than they're hedging their bets on the next quarter, as they always do. They never want to kind of say it's going to be amazing, it's going to be the best quarter ever on the next quarter, but it is going to be pretty epic because the next quarter is the fourth quarter. Yeah, we just had the Q3, so that's up to June, so we're talking July, August, September. So you're going to get the first batch of iPhone sales into this, the first batch of the new iPad sales, the watch sales. So this one's going to be way up on last year because last year did better, but then it did better, but without any iPhones in it. So it's going to be crazy. James S, how is the stock down after hours? Because every time they do an earnings call, it always is. It's nothing to do with the actual performance. They always beat expectations, which I think they did this time, right? And yet the price goes down afterwards because we have solid numbers and not a rumour anymore. That pretty much seems to what happens. Frank Petrie, what are your thoughts on chiclet SoC rumours? Yep, completely makes sense. I mean, we've been talking as well about, I think we were the first ones to kind of say, I would expect that they do multiple M1Xs or multiple M2Xs in the Mac Pro, 2 or 4. All the stuff that has come out about the 20 and 40 core chips lines up perfectly with the 10 core M1X and the proportions of cores inside, so it just makes sense. So that's what I would expect they'll be doing. Now, whether they do it as just purely multiples or they do it as chiplets, I don't know. Stephen Huxtable, I know, right? Yeah, so that's the hot take. That's cool. When is Apple going to accept crypto? The moon won't be far off once they do. So Apple has recruited for alternative payments executives. So they're looking for people that are going to look into alternative payments. Now, I don't know if that's going to be something along the lines of doing crypto, or if it's going to be more along the lines of what they've been doing with Apple Pay Later, which is something that's just been talked about. I think at the moment crypto is just too volatile for them to do as their own kind of, for their own payments. However, what I do think they might look at doing is like non-custodial wallets as a part of Apple Wallet. So you could basically keep NFTs in your Apple Wallet and have like a public access version of that, which would just open NFTs up to a lot more people. Because at the minute when you have to go and get a MetaMask and all that sort of stuff, it is a bit of a ball ache. But if Apple brought it in, I think it would work better. NFTs make a lot of sense. The crypto stuff, not as much when we're talking about like cryptocurrency. Let's see what else we've got there. Breaking their own records of the 100 billion. Is that what you think for the next quarter, James Apple? I'm assuming. Kramer calls it UPod, under promise, over deliver. Yeah, I mean, that's what Apple does every time. Is Tim going to retire? Yes, but not today. He's probably going to retire in the next, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, I would guess. Stephen, no to crypto. Yep, I think you're probably right. I don't think they're going to do crypto until it kind of flattens out and it's a little bit more stable. Rico, the MLG Pro, you mentioned something about Vulkan and Proton. What is that? So, I'm not 100% sure on the details. It's a gaming thing, but basically Steam has created, I believe Proton is the way that Steam games in general are translated to run on Linux, the ones that would otherwise be using dependencies like DirectX, so they would only run on Windows. So I believe that's what the Proton part does, is basically a translation layer that does that, and Vulkan is their way of kind of accessing all of the graphics cards in the same way. So it's their version of having stuff like Metal or OpenGL or something like that, I believe. But it can also translate directly into Metal so that it will run on Macs. That should be the way that it works, I think. Stephen Huxtable, I prefer Monopoly money. Yep, I mean, it's just not reliable enough at the minute, the cryptocurrency stuff for me just yet. Chad, do you think airbags need to be smaller? No. But I don't know why. Slow Cuba, crypto is amazing as a currency, but it's a crapshoot as an investment vehicle. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Crypto in general isn't necessarily a great thing. Some of them are, some of them are not. And that's the thing. At the moment, it's too full of people wanting to get rich quick rather than using it in the style of a currency, which is why it fluctuates so much, which is why it's just a bit of a nightmare in pretty much all ways right now. So I am interested in the NFT stuff. I think that's really interesting, and especially when it's not just selling a terrible picture. I think when you start to add the smart contract stuff onto it, and you can kind of get residuals from selling art, or you can have event tickets or real life experiences built into whatever it is, I think that's where it's interesting. Chad, AirTags. Oh, that makes far more sense than smaller airbags. Okay, so should they be smaller? No, I think they're small enough, but I'm not sure why they need to. Why would they? Why would you want them to be smaller? I'm not sure. James S, what do you think about Facebook earnings tomorrow? I bought buy call options on both Facebook and Apple yesterday. I would say that Facebook is likely to be struggling, especially after what has been reported with iOS 15. It's a lot harder for them to do the targeted advertising now, so that would be what I would say. Stephen Huxtable, we need airbags on the outside of cars. Yeah, yes, so sure. It definitely would make it safer for pedestrians. Rico, the MLG Pro, better make Proton work on Apple Silicon. Yeah, I agree. It would be great if it does. I'm really hoping that. I mean, even if Apple has to translate stuff through Rosetta, it's getting like 75 to 80% of the performance in most cases. And when we get M1X, the performance is just going to be absolutely ridiculous. So it's not actually going to matter that you're going to lose that little bit of performance. It also looks like the 32 core GPU is going to be around about the performance of a 2060 from what I've been seeing. But it's going to be integrated into the chip. It's not going to be a discrete GPU. So, how do I feel about larger 16-inch MacBook Pro, but with M1 for people who don't need the Pro features but love the larger screen? Sharon, I would be more than happy for them to bring one out. It would not upset me at all. I don't see why not. But my concern would be if they do, then we might get that at $2,300 and Apple Silicon M1X being reserved for like 2800 plus, and that would be sad. Too friendly. So will Apple Silicon Mac Pros get rid of all discrete GPU support from other companies? Will there be anything modular about them apart from maybe expandable storage? We don't know. But I would almost guarantee there won't be discrete GPU support from other companies. I think the only GPUs you will get will be Apple ones from now on, and I think you will be very happy with that because I think they're probably going to be outperforming what you can get from Nvidia or AMD quite quickly. When do you think Apple will go portless, if ever? We were talking about this a little bit earlier in the live stream. I think it will be probably next year. And I don't think you're ever going to get... I don't think you're ever going to get a USB-C iPhone. Evan Rogers, Molten VK is the Apple-specific implementation of the open-source Vulkan, which powers the Proton project for Steam on Linux. I'm sure what you just said is right, but it doesn't... I don't feel like I know any more about it now. There's just a long string of terms that I don't know what they mean. But thank you, Evan, because you are actually one of the super knowledgeable guys that watches the show. Sharon B, never mind that. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great, but I just don't think it would sell super well. It might do. Michael Moy, an Air 15 or 16-inch would probably sell well. So they used to do two different sizes on the Air. They used to do an 11-inch and a 13-inch. I have an 11-inch. That was my first Mac, and I thought it was great. I kind of don't think anyone needs a 15-inch Air. But I kind of get the point. I think the 14-inch MacBook Pro will probably fill that gap pretty well for most people. But yeah, if people really wanted a bigger screen and just the air power, I guess that would be fine too. Lee Hopper, to the guy that asked about the 16-inch MacBook with M1. I think Sharon might be a lady, but I haven't verified this. Remember that rumour about a larger MacBook Air a while ago? Yeah, I mean, there's possibilities that they will just do a larger MacBook Air. That's a very good point. Chad, what do you think about Samsung's ad campaign? What do you think Samsung's ad campaign will be when Apple go portless? How long before they go portless? Yeah, they'll absolutely rip into them for like 3 months and then delete all of those videos from the internet and do it themselves, because that's what Samsung does. Leo Hopper. Sorry, Michael Moy, didn't read your comment. Yeah, we just talked about that just before your one came up. But yeah, cool, guys. I think we're probably going to wrap this one up because there's not a huge amount of stuff to actually talk about from that earnings call. It's always a fun excuse to kind of just jump on a live chat and hang out with you guys, which I do really enjoy doing. And we are going to have that 6-hour version. So we've just done a warm-up. That was basically an hour that we've just done. But we will have a lot more guests, so it's going to be me in conversation with people. But if you have a favourite YouTuber that you want to see on one of these shows, I would really love for you guys to tag them on Twitter and tag me so that we can connect. And just let me know who you want to see us chat to. I think it's going to be a really cool time. And I do hope that some of you actually come, because if we have 25 to 19 people on the stream for 6 hours, I'm going to be a sad YouTuber. But thank you all for joining. I know it's not been a crazy one, but it's nice to chat to you and answer your questions. Please add Sam Cole to the show. I have got him on my list. I have approached John Prosser because John, we've chatted a little bit before. Sam as well would be great, and obviously Luke is also in with those guys. So worth having a chat. But let's see who we can get. MKBHD, iJustine. Who should we... Mark, you just missed me saying goodbye. So we are just about to finish this one up. But feel free to run it back. We've been answering a lot of questions. We've been chatting about a bunch of stuff. So thank you all for joining. And there will be a regular show tomorrow. I just need to work out what's going to be on it. And that's my next job. See you later, guys. Cheers.